Hello, and welcome to another episode of Give It a Year with me, Jenny Q. Welcome to my podcast diary, a cyberspace filled with positivity, curiosity, creativity, and questions. This is a cyberspace I have created so I could share with you my journey as I try to achieve two big goals in my life. One is to be in my top physical peak health possible. My second goal is my second goal is to earn a living as an artist. Specifically, I would like to earn $5,000 a month working as an artist. And so, being the creative person I am, I decided to explore something I've always been curious about, which is podcasting. And so I bought myself a little headset and I got myself an account on Podbean, and here I am and here you are. So the purpose, as you can tell, of this podcast is basically a share space. It is a place for me to share, create, and ponder my choices, my creations, my experiences, my thinking, my process, through this journey. And it's called Give It a Year because I'm committing to being here once a week for a year. And so far I'm doing really well. Week 11, excuse me, and I have not missed a Tuesday in 11 weeks. So good for me. So I don't like to make the introduction too long. I am learning. This is definitely not going to be polished, but there are certain housekeeping things, as they say, I want to get covered right off the hop. So as I said, the purpose of this podcast diary is it's a cyberspace that's meant to be positive. It's a place where you can come once a week, once, twice, all the time, sometimes, to just get away. I have no expectations of you. I have no expectations that you'll always return. I have no expectations that you will purchase anything from me or do a program or any of that stuff. Think of this as connecting with a friend who you just haven't met face to face, kind of thing. I also hope that you have no expectation of me that I'm going to have content that is going to solve all your problems, because I won't. I might be here to provide something that makes you smile, or think, or feel, or shake your head. Hopefully a little bit of all of that at some point. This is primarily an accountability tool for myself, so that I do something creative once a week, and so that I bring myself back to reflecting on what I do, what I want to do, and what I'm in the midst of doing. So, that is kind of the basic of the purpose and what this is. And I have 4 podcast promises, and these are promises I have created as guidelines for me, but also as a promise to you. If you are someone who has come back and listened to a couple of different episodes or things that I have done, these are my promises to you. 1, I will be here every week. I'll be here every Tuesday. I can't guarantee what time, but I guarantee you when Wednesday rolls around, you will have another episode to listen to. Podcast number 2, promise number 2. All of my content will be original. It will be my thoughts, my ponderings, my creations. And when I say creations, it could be a poem, it could be a story, it could be a description of an art piece, it could be all sorts of amazing things. I might reference, like I will tonight, I might reference someone or quote someone, but the primary content is all original. All Jenny Q. Podcast promise number 3, I will always have a positive spin. This world can be a struggle and a challenge, and so I will not necessarily shy away from topics like politics, life, death, addiction, mental health, because there's some of that I've had to process and deal with in my life. I don't always talk about it, but I could have a day where I need to share on here because it's just that day and it's a part of the process. if I get heavy, I promise there will always be a positive spin. I will find a positive spin. And my last promise to you is that I will always have a question or a thought to leave you with at the end of the podcast that you can take away. And as a reminder, I have no expectations that you're going to leave me a message or tell me anything. The question is for you to take away. It's something for you to think about if you wish, to ponder, or maybe share with a friend or a family member if it really resonated. And that's it. So I'm definitely working on my formatting, and oh my gosh, my intro was really long today, but that's okay. So I am now going to slowly take out the music because I think after I do the promises, I think it's a good time. So today's episode is titled Tagline, Slogan, or Philosophy. The reason for the title is because, as I mentioned last week, I wanted to share with all of you this thing that I've been doing this second season. I've actually done this podcast for a year, but I didn't do very well the first year as far as accountability. So in September, I resumed. I'm week 11. And one of the things I added into my formatting is at the end of every episode, I always say, we all have the power to change the world with 3 very simple things. And we can do it by sharing our smile, sharing our love, and sharing our laughter. And I've been sort of talking about it. And so today's episode, as I mentioned last week, I'm going to explain what each of those things are all about and why today I'm sharing that. And then that's it. I do try to keep my episodes a little bit shorter. I do feel like this one might verge into a bit of a longer episode. And if it does, I hope you stick around. So having said that, let me just begin, I suppose. So where did I find the whole share your smile, share your love, share your laughter? It actually began back in, I want to say it was 2020. It was definitely during COVID. I just can't remember if it was 2019 or 2020. I think it was March of 2020. I had created a Facebook little show thing with my puppet Willie. Yes, I have a puppet, and his name is Willie. He's wonderful. He talks like this, and he's a lot of fun. Anyway, it's on my YouTube and stuff, so if you're curious, feel free to check it out. But anyway, it was during COVID, and I work as a support worker, and so I did not stay home. We still went to work because we were just deemed a very much needed service during COVID because we support kids and their families. And so one of the reasons I shared and created this little thing with Willie is I wanted to, again, even back then, I wanted to put something out in the cyber world that was positive and fun. And I know for a lot of people it was really, really hard because they couldn't be near the ones they loved, and they couldn't touch them, and they couldn't hug them, and they couldn't be close to them, and people were isolating, and they felt very alone, very scared. And so in one of our meetings, Willie, yeah, and sorry, when I think of Willie, he just comes out. Anyway, we had a staff meeting, and we decided that we wanted to empower people and remind people there are still lots of ways we can touch other people's lives. And we can do it by still being safe and doing the safe distance and not touching and not being in other people's bubbles. And the one way we could do that is we can share our smile. And with the amount of video chats and video calls and photos that people were sharing, it just made sense. A smile in a photo is as amazing as it is in person. It's better in person, actually, but if all you could do was send a picture of yourself sending a smile to someone, that could totally change their day. It could totally make them feel seen. It could totally make them feel loved. And it's as simple as that. And that's all I'm going to say about that. To share your love during COVID, it could have been as simple as just checking in on someone, calling someone, sending them a message, sending them a song, sending them a care package, maybe writing them a letter or an email. When people were going through so much and feeling so alone, some sort of contact is just a way to show love. Of course, people wanted to hug people in that, but you couldn't do that, right? So there it is. And then share the laughter. And during such a tense, dark, scary time as the COVID pandemic, especially here in Canada, I don't know how the rest of the world was exactly, but we had to maintain our social distance. Lots of things got shut down. We couldn't even go to parks, pools, community centers, libraries. Everything was shut down, except essential services, right? So it was hard. It was hard. I actually had to carry a piece of paper in my car for my work. So if I was stopped by the police or someone, I could prove that I was allowed to be on the road and driving. That's how serious it was where I live. Anyway, to share the laughter. This is important. And we incorporated it into the stories and stuff, which Willie and I did. And Willie would always tell dad jokes at the end of every episode. And that was how we shared our laughter. So every episode I found a way to share a smile, share some love, and share some laughter. And that's where it began. And as things progressed, I actually lost a really dear friend of mine, someone who I was super close with during COVID, and he actually overdosed. Very sad, very difficult, hard time. And that's when I really jumped into my art world and decided to become an artist, I guess, a professional artist. And as I evolved and I started creating stuff and producing stuff and sharing stuff, the phrase that I had created, the share your smile, share your love, share your laughter, really stuck with me and it resonated. And so I started putting it all sorts of places. I would put it on my website. It is on my website. I would put it on my website. I would put it on the back of the description of my art pieces. I would put little emojis to represent my phrase in posts. I would do all sorts of things. And this last little while, I really embraced it. And so I now am going to put it onto some stuff. I'll get there in a sec. I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, so when something really resonates, I figure it's meant to stay with you and be with you and be part of you. And so as I was preparing for this evening's program, I was trying to figure out how I was going to describe to you what this thing is. So the first thing that came into my head was, is this a tagline, right? Like, you think of taglines. So I actually researched, and a tagline typically is 3 to 6 words. And it's more of a quick thing for a branding thing to make you think of a specific product. And some examples of that would be like Nike when they say, just do it. Or McDonald's, I'm loving it. Or Apple, I guess their tagline used to be think different, and then you would think about all of their technology. So I thought about it and I'm like, well, I'm not really branding one thing. That's not quite the right fit. What is this thing? This thing, share your smile, share your love, share your laughter. So then I did a little more research and I'm like, okay, maybe it's a slogan, because slogans tend to be longer. Slogans are more about, about what something is being promoted. It's meant to be attention grabbing, and it's to tell the audience or the consumer what someone wants to associate with their brand. Now, I am an artist. I am building a brand, and I thought, okay, that's a lot closer. Maybe that's what it is. But then it really came back to slogans, came back to being defined as a promotional tool. And I'm like, no, this isn't right. So I got a little frustrated and I stopped and I took a break and I went and got a snack and I listened to some Jim Rohn. Now, if you've paid attention to any of my previous episodes, I often mention Jim because he has been such an influence in my life. Now he's passed, but I listen to his books. I listen to videos of his on YouTube. I've read stuff. There's something about him that resonates with me, and I highly recommend going and listening to him. But one of the things I do when I'm frustrated is I sit down and I'll throw on some Jim Rohn sometimes. Sometimes it's Mel Robbins, sometimes it's Earl Nightingale. I'll throw on someone instead of listening to the negativity of the world. I put positivity in my life. And so as I was sitting here and just randomly picked I call him Uncle Jim. I call him Uncle Jim. And I'm like, I was frustrated, so I'm like, hey, Uncle Jim. I am strange. So I said, hey, Uncle Jim, I need some advice. And I just randomly picked a playlist I have of his, and it picked up and it talked about what I think this thing is that I've created. And I think what I've created is my philosophy. Not just my philosophy of my art, but my life philosophy. And I think it is even woven into the philosophy of this podcast. So before I get into all of that, I wanted to explain what Jim Rohn, Uncle Jim, he's not actually my uncle, I just call him Uncle Jim. He explains that a life philosophy, it is a guiding force. It is your compass. It is what guides you to make choices. It is the roots of your life. It is the parameters, I guess, that you use. It's the set of your sails. He has this amazing philosophy where he talks about life is like a sailboat, right? We all have the same circumstances, the storms and the winds and the sunshine, and we all get hit by the same stuff. But the success of your life, of how you get to the other side, death, and the journey in between, it all depends on the set of your sails, your philosophy. And that is what will take you to either success or failure, to stagnation or progress. And it's quite liberating to have a philosophy. And I guess it is my philosophy. I have developed a core of gratitude, and I will smile a lot, and I will show love a lot, and I will laugh a lot. I love to laugh. I laugh on here quite a bit. So I want to wrap this up in a few minutes here, but so a smile. So I want to talk about how each of these components, I think, has become a philosophy. So this is now a philosophy of JQK Creations. It is a philosophy of me, of Jenny Q. And so I'm going to talk about what I think each component represents philosophically. And then I'm going to tell you the big thing I want to tell you, and then we're going to say goodnight. Well, I'll say goodnight. It's late here, but you can finish up whenever you listen to this. So, to smile, as I said in the beginning, when I was talking about where this all started, to smile, no matter who you are, when you smile, it opens a window to connect. Even if it's just for a second, and even if it's with a stranger. When you smile, it says so much. It is a philosophy of, I'm not dangerous, I care, and I see you. And I think especially in the world right now, a lot of people, even though there's tons of photographs and videos and vlogs and all these wonderful things, I think the humanity of a lot of things get lost and people feel invisible sometimes. So sometimes when you're walking down the street, just a smile. When you're opening the door as you're leaving a store, giving a smile. If you work in a school, or if you are driving and you look over to the car next to you and they look unhappy, send them a smile. It's powerful, it's magical, it's amazing. And I've heard stories of where a smile saved people's lives. And the stranger doesn't even know that they did that. It was just a smile. and someone felt seen, and so they were going to commit suicide. And that one moment, that nanosecond of hello, hi, it's wonderful. Anyway, smile. So yes, smile. I think smiling is very, very important. Love, in reference as this is a philosophy, love is powerful, and in my mind includes kindness. It includes compassion, and it includes care. And you can do it for others. It can take the form of listening. It can take the form of being physical. Yeah, it could be dancing. It could be singing. It could be hugging. It could be kissing. It's kindness. It's connection. I think love for me really is about connection. All three of these things are about connection, actually, in my opinion. And I think that's the base philosophy, is that connection is so important. But love, it's not just, hugs and kisses. Love is listening. Love is holding hands. Love is sharing. Love is having a dance with someone. Love is being kind. Love is even just sitting and listening. Love could be writing a letter. Love could be doing the dishes. It's all sorts of things. Love is as varied and unique as all humans on the planet. But the one constant with it is it's about connecting with someone. And again, being seen and feeling seen, Okay, last one, laughter. So laughter is contagious. It is the thing that will vibrate through your soul, in your body. It is, if it's a big belly laugh, you can have a release. If it's a little giggle, it just brings you up. It lifts you up. It's energy. It is that physicalization of joy. It is an invitation for joy to come in your life. And when you laugh, you can't help but feel loved. And when you laugh, you can't help but smile. So it's kind of the grounding for all three of them. And they say laughter is the best medicine, and I truly believe that. If you're feeling depressed and down and sad or sick or have a fever or whatever, to have someone by your side and just tell you that stupid dumb joke that always makes you laugh, or to share that meme that makes you laugh, it's healing. It's helpful. And so I guess ultimately the reason I love this and why I think it's a philosophy is I personally right now am struggling sometimes with feeling invisible, feeling like I'm not worthy or I don't matter. And I don't mean that in a very selfish, way. I mean that since 2020, since I've sort of delved into this part of my life, I have created so many things. I did my stories and stuff. I've written a book. I've been part of 2 other books. I've done interviews. I raised money through House of Friendship for my friend who overdosed. I've created lots of art. I've been in different art shows. What else have I done? I've done so many things, and I've got my Instagram and I've got my YouTube, and I've done all these things, and I do it, and the podcast too. I do this in the endeavor to create and invite and offer a space of positivity, a space of inclusion, a space of where someone can be okay just to be themselves, because I know and I see that we all are powerful and influential to someone. It doesn't mean that you're on the billboards and that everyone knows your name across the planet. But I have experienced it. I have been this for other people, where by doing one of these 3 things, or all of these 3 things, I've created friendships. I've had a couple of people tell me I've changed their lives because I smiled, or I showed them love and compassion and kindness, or because I made them laugh, or all 3, or they just knew they could always come to that. But I don't have a following. I don't think. I don't have regular listeners. I don't have that audience. And so I personally struggle with sometimes living this philosophy and smiling and feeling love for myself and laughing because I get so serious. So doing the podcast and sharing this at the end of the podcast, it is my reminder once a week that I do make a difference, just like you make a difference. And you may not even know it. But if everybody in the world were to live by this philosophy, to daily share a smile, share some love, and share some laughter, this world could not help but be a better, happier, funner place to be. And that's my philosophy. And this is how I kind of rock and roll. So, I said I was going to wrap this up in a few minutes, and that was 5 minutes ago. So now I really am going to wrap it up. I have 2 things left to share. One, my next creative journey and adventure and excitement. Why am I so focused on clarifying this what this is, this philosophy? It's because I am moving my art into a new venue, into textiles. Textiles being anything fabric. So it could be a bag, it could be a pillowcase, it could be a t-shirt, it could be a hat, it could be a hoodie, it could be any number of those things. And so I've decided I'm going to attach my philosophy to the sweater or the shirt or the bag. And that is a way I can put out my art, my purpose, my positivity in another venue. And so I created this podcast specifically for that, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little thing that says, if you want to understand the philosophy of share your smile, share your love, share your laughter, come and listen to this podcast. And that's why I need to cut it off soon, because I don't want people to have to sit and listen too long. So that is the big excitement there. And as always, let me just shuffle my papers here. I have my Sorry, I had this. Where is my question? There it is. Okay, so I'm going to bring the music back. And when you hear the music back, you know we're almost done. There it is. Oh, wait, a little loud. Let's bring it back down. It's usually good about there. Okay, hopefully you can hear me. Still. Yeah, I think we're okay. So, hang on, let me see. I've got some headphones on. I wonder if I can. Yeah, I think I'm okay. Alright, so let's try and wrap this up in about 3 minutes. So my question, as I said in my podcast promises, is I always leave you with a question. So, which of these 3 philosophies, which is really one philosophy, which of these 3 is your superpower? We all are excellent at one of them. So is your superpower sharing your smile, sharing your love, or sharing your laughter? Do you do all 3? Do you do just one? And which one of these do you find helps boost you if someone else offers it to you? So again, I always try to stick with one question. I can't. So do you use all 3? Which one's your superpower? And if you don't use any of these, maybe try them. Who knows? It could shift things in ways you had no idea. So, next week I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about, but I'm glad you were here this week, and I thank you if you're still here. It's half an hour in, and it's time for me to say, until next week, don't forget, share your love. Wait, let's do it in order. Share your smile, share your love, and share your laughter. And I promise I'll do the same next Tuesday. Until then, have a great week.